Hi everyone, welcome back to Casual Watch Talk, a Tuesday show. We didn't do one last week. I got travel for work, so the Tuesday one's always a bit in jeopardy. But anyway, joined by my panel tonight for our watch obsession. So this might get dangerous. So we'll have to see if anybody hits the buy it now whilst we're live, whilst we're doing this live. But anyway, Pete, you're in the hot seat. What are you wearing?
Today I am wearing the Edox Hydro Sub.
Ooh, that's nice.
So it's got the crown hidden away under that little slidey disc thing, but very odd, very weird asymmetric shape. Lots of fiddle tricks to play with. So yeah, I can sit there and play with that Master Lock crown protector all day.
So you've sold it on that alone, Pete.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
really cool.
I just sit there all day just doing this. But no, it's a great watch.
Is it vintage or is it?
If you're 12, I think it would count as vintage. It's I think it was new it's about 2015.
Oh right, okay. Oh, I might have to check those out. The old Edox. Yeah, they're not the one. I keep thinking Edox isn't the one that does the Kontiki.
Yes. Oh, hang on.
Oh, it is.
No, that's Eterna.
Eterna.
Sorry. In Australia, they were shipped by the same people, so they're always at the same shops. So I mix them up.
I've always liked the look of that Kontiki. Steve, what are you wearing?
Yeah, so new purchase for me. This is the Bulova Computron D Cave.
Nice.
Yeah, just picked that up last week, so still really enjoying that a lot.
So
not
that's
like anything else in my collection, so that's why part of the reason why I got it.
So is that like a limited edition? Is it like a Matrix inspired or something? Was it?
Yeah, so I don't know the entire story, but Bulova already has this Computron line, which I think has been out for a couple of years now, and it's a remake of the Computrons, I guess, from the late 70s, early 80s with the short life LED screens on them. This particular one, I guess, is a collaboration with someone named D Cave, who is, I guess, a gamer or something, and I just liked it because it kind of has this like transparent window on it with a circuit board. So to me, it's kind of like inspired by, the Bulova Space Fuse of the 1960s and 70s, but obviously it's a slightly different take on it. So I really like the Space Fuse a lot, but I don't really like the fact that those movements are really finicky and don't always work. So to have kind of an homage to that and something with a warranty is really nice.
Awesome. Mark, you're up next. What are you wearing?
I have a Mark 1 Oris Aquis. Not the latest watch in my collection, but my first proper Swiss watch. Once I got sick and tired of Seikos, I bought an Oris. This is the Mark 1, probably the nicest of them. I don't think they've actually made it any better. They've made different sizes. I don't think they've made them look any better. And the power of Formula One marketing, because I would never have known about Oris unless they'd been slapped on the front wing end plate of a Williams.
Oh yeah, wow, yeah, it looks really cool. And that's the original rubber bracelet, is it? It's kind of lasted.
It's lasted. The bracelet's been cut, and I wear it at its shortest, and it's still too long. The inner part still wraps around to completely dominate, to completely hit the links here. The rumor I'd heard is that the straps for the US were always longer. And if you don't have a 9-inch wrist, this strap is too long for anybody else. But it's a great watch.
Awesome.
Just keeps ticking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm wearing my Seiko GMT, but I just arrived literally like 30 minutes ago, the Christopher Ward 12. So I'll be doing a review of that very soon. Managed to get one hot off the press following their San Francisco wind-up watch fair debut. So this is the steel with the sort of blue dial. It looks silver there, but it's actually the sort of light blue dial. So anyway, there you go. Okay, so we're going to do watch obsessions. So we were originally going to pick 3, but I certainly went over the limit. But we'll see how far we get. So let's just add in first here. So first up, I might be on the Bobby Legs channel later, so just a little plug for Bobby Legs, and also I wanted to do a little plug for also Watch Chris, who has done phenomenally well. He's up to 75,000, nearly 75,000 subs now. He was on 36 a couple of weeks ago. His content's just really taken off. So big congratulations to Chris there. Okay, yep. So I will not be I'll not be as narcissistic as to pick me first. So Steve, you're up first. This is your Stover. Oh, have I frozen? Has Steve frozen? Steve's frozen.
It looks like both Steve and Pete have. Oh no, Pete's moving.
Oh no, Pete's there.
I'm moving.
There you go. Okay. So Steve was so outraged. Mark,
that's your pronunciation is Stoa.
Yes, it was. Mark, go on. You're up then. I think actually Patrick owns this watch, doesn't he? But this is the. Well, I'll let you introduce it.
So this is the Formex Essence Leggera. It is a watch that's been at or near the top of my must-buy list, but it's also an extremely unlucky watch. When I have the money, I forget about it. When I remember it, I don't have the money. And I've never quite got remembering how much I like it and the cash at the same time. And I'm always reminded of them when I see them at Wind Up New York. And I think, Formex, for a small brand, they're not wasting time with making their own movements. They're putting their time into clean, simple designs, good use of raw materials, and then comfort for the wearer. And I've long admired them. The white dial would be my favorite, but I can never make up my mind whether I'd go for the 41 or the 43 mil size. So yeah, this is a watch that I've been trying to buy for a couple of years now and haven't quite managed it. I really should get around to buying this, but I haven't quite managed it yet. So
that's an amazing price, isn't it? Is that the case forged carbon?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And it's for chronometer certified, and it's 1,790.
Yeah. I mean, they have a funky case suspension system on them as well. And I'm sure Pete will comment about whether these case suspension systems actually make any difference. But it's a funky feature, not as funky as that crown guard on the eDocs, but whether it actually does any good to protect the movement, moot point. But it's certainly something to talk about. So yeah, this is one that really has been on my list for a long time, and I should actually go and buy one at some point, but I haven't managed to quite yet. So I'm kind of obsessed with it, but I haven't quite managed to pull the trigger.
Yeah, I've always looked at the Formex ones. I know Ricky and Dave at Scottish Watches really rate them, don't they, as well? And I think Patrick actually has this one, Patrick Pocket Watch Time.
Yeah, and I've met Raphael from Formex at Wind Up, is the CEO of the company. Very young, very enthusiastic, knows what he's talking about. It's just I just haven't managed to buy one yet.
Awesome, cool. Okay, Steve, you're back. We were going to do your. No worries. Well, we were going to do your. I thought it was my pronunciation of Stover.
Yeah.
Stover. So
proper Germans.
Europe, the Stover.
That's the one. Yeah. I've been thinking about this model for years now, and Mark, you're just thinking about like how you have these watches that you want, but you forget about them. So I have a list that I keep on my phone of like models that, like, if I ever get the money, it's something I might want to buy. And this has been on my list for years. And gosh, I just really like the way that these things look, and especially the fact that it's like, not been totally upsized. Like these are 30, you can get a 36 millimeter, which I think is amazing. And it's kind of got this porcelain dial with these blued hands, and I like the small seconds on them, and that it's got a hand wound movement. Just really nice details, and the price has gone up a little bit. They used to be a little bit closer to about €1,000 or maybe 900 something euros. So the price has gone up, but you can occasionally find these things used for $700-800. And I just really like them a lot. I think they look really cool. So yeah, this is one that I'm strongly thinking about buying in the near future.
Yeah, I've never owned a Stover watch. They do a lot of Flieger style watches as well, don't they? I think
they do.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and divers as well. But yeah, this is just one of those designs, I guess, that just kind of sticks with me and resonates. And yeah, I just really like it a lot.
I think Stover, rather like Laco, are best known for their Flieger, but that was a lovely one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, good. Okay, so then we're up with a Pete's choice, and this is one that I really like as well. This is the Aerospace Evo. Yeah,
So it's the Aerospace Evo. I think you've had one, haven't you? An earlier
B1
version.
Yeah, I had the B1, 2 versions of it.
It's a watch I'm always right on the edge of buying, but for some reason, just something else always comes up. And right now, what's coming up is a rumor that there's a new version of this coming.
Oh.
And I love this version, but I don't want to spend all my money and then have to and then not get the new one. So I'm kind of waiting, and I don't know what to do. What's actually really fascinating is a little while ago, I'm in the Air Force. I was engineer, and I was at a big safety day where we all came together, a whole bunch of senior pilots and everything all came together, and we're all in the same room. So I'm doing some serious watch spotting, and lots of Apple watches, but if you're wearing an Apple watch, it's all an Ultra. Lots of Garmins, and if you're wearing a Garmin, it's all the really big Epics or Phoenixes, and 5 Breitling Aerospaces. And what's interesting is, compared to the Ultra and those big Epics and Phoenixes, these are very small watches. So a lot of watch people are looking at this probably thinking, oh, I wish they'd bring out a 38 or something. But a lot of the people that actually buy them are probably cross-shopping them with 46 and 48 millimeter smartwatches. And it was a really interesting little thing to notice there amongst the kind of people who actually buy them, as opposed to, the kind of people who talk about them on the internet. But I love it. I think it's just something really special.
Yeah, I've always wanted one, and I know if the alarm is anything like that alarm on the B1, that would wake the dead. It was that loud. But yeah, no, I'm a big fan of this one as well. I definitely want to add one to the collection. I'll be interested to see what they do. I think the high precision thermocompensated super quartz or whatever it is really good. Yeah,
they're actually quite hard to get too. You'll notice there, I think that's the actual Breitling website. You can't stick it in the cart and buy it. You have to give them a call and book an appointment, and they'll have it shipped for you, which unfortunately means 0 discount.
Yeah, underachieving watch collector is that I need to purge about 10 watches I don't wear before I can buy something new. I keep telling myself that as well. Okay, so I'll do one of mine then, and I'm going to start off modestly. I still want to buy this if it ever comes back in stock. This is the C Quartz 30. It's made by Momentum Watches, but it wasn't originally made by them. But there is a link between the original Chronosport, I think they were called, that made these watches. But not only do I like the design because it looks a bit like a Hoya, if nobody's familiar with this watch, it was made famous by Tom Selleck in Magnum PI in the first series. So he wore the original Chronosport. And then I think there's some link between the two companies where they essentially are I don't know whether it's the designer or whatever, but they've recreated it, but it's sold out straight away. And it's good because the other Momentum watches, they're not really to my personal taste, but I think this one looks awesome. So I thought I'd start off modestly on my pick. And it looks like a vintage Hoya as well, which I like. There you go. I've stunned the audience.
Well, it's got that orange minute hand like the so many other dive watches. So the Longines Ultracon diver has that same sort of thing, and obviously what is the Italian brand? Squale 50 Atmos has kind of the same deal. So yeah, I dig it. It's really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny. It's kind of it captures, I think, something that's going on at the moment in the watch world, in that we're creeping forward a little bit from the 50s and early 60s now into the later 60s and early 70s. So this is kind of more. It's more fun. They're beginning to throw off the shackles of boring 50s, and we're beginning to see little pops of orange and stuff and a bit more play in the cases.
Yeah, we're losing that timeless design or whatever it was that we commented on.
No, the boring design.
Yeah,
the tired design. Yeah,
tired design.
Okay, Mark, we are back round to you, and your next one was this. I don't know if I picked the right one. I guessed
you did. There was a Seamaster in the middle, but we'll do this one instead. So, Armin Strom are a independent watchmaker. The current company was bought from Armin Strom himself, who was a watchmaker who specialized in skeletonization. I am a fan of modern design. I like clean design. I like architectural design, and this has all of that in spades. It it is a watch I see once a year at watch time, and I always think, wow, if I stopped buying other watches for 2, maybe 3 years, I could get one. And of the Armin Stroms, I mean, this is their bottom of the range watch.
Wow.
But it's also the most wearable, the most elegant of the watches that they make. You can see, if you kind of squint, where some of the inspiration for the Christopher Ward Bel Canto came from with the naked, and this is just me thinking about it, with the naked gear sets there. But I think it's a stunner.
Didn't Armin Strom do some of the, or was it one of their suppliers did some of the Bel Canto parts?
Armin Strom, I believe, were responsible for the platine, some of the platine technology that underpins the Bel Canto, but they have been cooperating with Christopher Ward since the C7 Apex that I was wearing at the weekend, because of their expertise in CNC machining, and their ability to do the calculations to keep a watch together when you start removing bits of material. So they are, I believe, 8 minutes walk from the Christopher Ward atelier in Beale.
Oh, wow.
And they're just across the road from Horage. So if you cross over the railway tracks in Beale, you see there's another cluster of smaller watchmakers. All the big guys are on one side of the railroad tracks, and all the small guys seem to be on the other. So there's a little triangle in essentially a housing estate. That's Armin Strom, Horage, Christopher Ward, and possibly Formex. I'm not sure, but as an independent watchmaker, this is one, I think, the nicest watch they make. It's the most wearable watch they make, and if I really wanted something that I thought would stun anybody who saw it, this is definitely the one. But this is a grail. This is not something I'll be putting a reservation on anytime soon, although I have thought about it. I just don't know what the wait list would be and whether it would allow me to afford it or not.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Being able to see all the gears and everything in there. It's a hand wound, is it?
Can't remember.
I think it is. Oh, hang on. I think did you say automatic?
I thought it was automatic. Automatic.
Yeah, automatic.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's even more impressive. Oh, excellent. Awesome. Yeah, that was a great pick. Okay, Steve, we are back on to you. And I actually picked this one for you because you said two-tone watch. But
That's
have you got...
That's a perfect one, because actually I have been using that as inspiration. I mean, the Rolex, two-tone GMT Master 2, and obviously the newest one is the best looking one in decades, I think, but probably way out of my price range. But I've been looking at some of the historic models, which is like reference 16753. So, these are probably from the late 70s, early 80s, something like that. And that's the one. I really just dig them. I don't know. Like there was definitely a time when I thought, gosh, two-tone watches, this is like something my dad would wear, my grandfather would wear. They're just so uncool. But I don't know, maybe I'm getting older, or maybe it's just they're so uncool now that I think they're cool. But I just really, I dig the contrast. I think it looks really, really fantastic. And especially, with the black dial as well, it just, man, really creates some great contrast. There's also the, the root beer variation, which is, to me, that's the pinnacle of this model. But the black dial ones are just a little bit cheaper. So that's what I'm kind of looking at.
Yeah, one of my fellow solution engineers at work, who, Steve, I think you might know him, he's got a two-tone sub, and he has got this two-tone GMT. I think it was his dad's watch, but I've never seen it. But he's got a two-tone sub that he's worn for years, and I still think they're cool. Anybody else?
Getting old.
maybe you hit 42 and understand the meaning of life.
Yep.
I don't know, Pete. What do you think about the old two-tone?
If I got drunk and took it home, I'd cut my own arm off to avoid waking it up in the morning before I escape.
Oh dear.
It's horrible. It is.
But see, that's exactly why I want it, because other people hate it. That's exactly why I want it. So
I think real estate agent, used car salesman, Tony Soprano's like poorer cousin, just hate it. Hate it with every fiber of my being. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
dear.
Right.
Oh dear. Well, I like it. Okay. Well, moving swiftly on there, Pete. Another one of yours, and this is a surprise. This is there we go. Oh yeah. Okay, so this is the jazzed up turtle.
Yeah, so it's what a turtle would want to be if you made it properly. Yeah, that's basically it. I love Seiko. I love Seiko as a brand. I love that they have so much design and so much history and so much authenticity. So I've got a couple of Seikos. I have found my kind of personal limit is 6R and above. Or anything that Seiko puts a 4R movement in, the case finishing, the design, everything kind of goes down with the movement. So for me, it's like when you hit the 6R level, SRPB level, it starts to come together. I've got 3 of those. I've got a Sumo, 4, a Sumo Marine Master Reduced, and something else. I want to make the next jump up to an 8L powered watch. I don't have any Seikos that are PVD coated. Don't have any Seikos in that Willard case. So I love the watch, but it also represents sort of the next blank spot in my collection I want to fill in.
Yeah, I really like this. I think that the 8L35, this came up on another show, didn't it? I was like, I wish they put a Grand Seiko movement in a turtle case or a Willard case, and you were like, actually they have done it. So it's amazing. I mean, this is Japanese domestic model, I'm guessing, and I don't remember them ever doing another one with that movement.
Oh no, they actually do have quite a few with that 8L movement, so it's quite common. But they tend to be short runs. So I think this was a limited edition of like 2000 or something. But they tend to like pop up, do it, and then go away. But at any given time, there's normally 3 or 4 Seiko movements with an 8L, Seiko Prospects watches with an 8L movement in it.
Yeah, I mean, I knew about the one of them, but I didn't know that they put in this case. I might have to do. Well, actually, I'm not going to research it because that's another thing I'll have to obsess about. Steve, did you know this? Did you know that they put the 8L35 in this?
Yeah, I think that's a big reason why these are more expensive than the slightly lesser version of the new Willard, right? Because I've owned one of the new Willard models, and I think it did have a slightly lower grade movement.
Yeah. And the thing to realize is everything shifts at the same time. So when Seiko if you take a Willard, and it's tricky to look at because you'll look at it and go, well, it's a Willard case. So there's a natural assumption that it's always going to be the same case. All they're changing is the movement. But with Seiko, when you move from the Willard shaped 4R to the Willard shaped 6R to the Willard shaped 8L, the case subtly changes and gets better each and every step up. Yeah, I want this one.
Awesome. That was a great pick. Okay, so me up next. Yeah, I really want this. I'm obsessing about this green Mont Blanc 1858. I went in to look at the one. I think we talked about it a couple of weeks ago on the channel. I went in to look at this one into a boutique because I thought, wow, that looks really cool. I thought the hands were actually going to be grey because on here it looks like the hands are painted grey, but when I went to see it, they were actually just the normal silver. So it's quite deceptive on the website. So I've gone back to wanting either the blue or the green one, and I actually want them even more now because this is $3,140, and they've been out about a year, I guess, but they've really come down in price, for the bracelets and stuff. So I'm starting to obsess a little bit more about owning a pre-owned one. Dave at Scottish Watches owns one. He really likes his, but yeah, I've started to warm to these a little bit more. The green is quite vibrant, so I don't know. I'm just deciding between the two, but yeah, I think this might be the next one of the next big purchases.
I like them. I just can't get over the name. The Iced Sea.
Oh, Iced Sea. Yeah, it sounds like a rival rapper to Ice-T, doesn't it, back in the day? I see. Yeah, I really like it. I'm a big fan. I don't know if it is anybody else on the owned a Mont Blanc on here.
Mont Blanc is a brand that just keeps coming close to what I want and then just drifts away. And I'd never quite locked in on one. I think at some point in my life, I'm going to own one of those Geospheres. But every time I see them in real life, I'm impressed. I think they make a really nice watch.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with this, and I thought I was going to buy that limited edition, but when it didn't have the grey hands, I was a little bit bummed out by that. Okay, we're all the way back. We're back to you, Mark. Back to the start.
Yes, and I'm glad you didn't pick the stealth version of this because that's hideous. I am, as people have probably figured out, a fan of the current generation of Seamasters. They haven't all been successful. The Necton Special Edition and the Bond, the Craig Daniels Bond, both not my cup of tea. I'm in particular dislike of the current Bond, just as I dislike the stealth version of
Daniel
this.
Craig, we'll call him.
Yeah. But that Bond that he did, just terrible.
Oh, the last one, the No Time to Die.
Yeah. Oh, what a horrible watch that was. It's tacky. The loom looks like cat puke. It's just no. And it had a totally unnecessary big arrow on the front. It was a parody of a watch. Anyway, This is not a parody of a watch. This is it's a ceramic case with a titanium monocoque. You will never like it, Sam, because it's no date.
Yeah.
But it's slightly bigger than the standard, 43.5 mil, and this would round out my Seamaster collection. But
I actually, like the look of it, and I mean, so it's.
I mean, don't get me wrong. This is a big boy. This is not a small watch. It gets close to dominating my wrist, and but it's a lot of the Seamasters are too flashy. They are, sort of the blue and the grey Seamaster, for example. It might as well be a light show at Las Vegas. This, with the case material and not having a bracelet, tones a lot of that upfront flashiness down, and this would be the icing on the Seamaster cake for me.
And it's a mixture. So what's interesting about this one is it's a mixture of ceramic and titanium.
Yep.
Which is really interesting.
So the mid case is ceramic, and then the case back, the monocoque that holds the movement and so on, is titanium. So it's an interesting mix of materials as well.
Yeah, I quite like the look of it, actually. Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, this is a big boy, and I can wear 44 mil. But this is getting really close to what I find I can get away with. It wears a little bit bigger than it looks, and you can either have it on a rubber strap or a NATO. And if you have it on the NATO, it doubles in size.
Oh yeah, because it's adding all that extra.
You're adding all the extra on the side, but it works really, really well on the rubber strap. And Omega make a great rubber strap anyway.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so Steve, we're back to you, and let me just. I'll add this one in because you actually sent me the link. So this is the Glashütte original. This is the CQ.
Yeah.
This is the green dial.
These are, so I guess to start, I've been kind of eyeing the two-tone Rolexes, and obviously it's impossible to buy one of these new. Now you can buy a brand new Glashütte, from your AD, but the question is, do you want to spend that much money to buy one? Because they're like almost exactly the same cost as a Submariner, and to me, it's a really poor value watch. So I would only consider buying one of these used, and you can find decent deals on them used, in kind of the $6,000 to $7,000 area. So I just really like them a lot. I've heard of this style dial with like the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, referred to as like a French diving dial. You see a lot of French brands that have this same sort of format on them, and I think they look really handsome. And it's also got this really kind of ingenious quick release system if you get it on a bracelet. And I don't know, it's just it's something a little bit different than a Rolex. I've never owned a Glashütte, and I think they look really cool. And I feel like I've been collecting long enough to where if I want to spend my money on something like this versus a Rolex, and I won't regret it. So they do make a slightly different model that's got that panorama date window, but this one's a little bit smaller and cheaper. So that's the reason why I kind of like that.
Yeah. So
say Glashütte original make a very lovely watch. The presence and quality in hand. I haven't seen one of these recently, but the presence and quality of Glashütte original is, I don't think, appreciated enough. And they're a stealth brand as well. It's a watch for the cognoscenti.
I think their biggest problem is Langer. That particularly with they've got that I can't remember what it's called, but there's a shaped watch, or there's a watch they have that looks a lot like a Langer one, and as a result, which is actually not so much a Langer design, it's more just a standard Glashütte thing. It's something a lot that region does, but it's become really associated with the Langer, and as a result, Glashütte Original kind of gets a bit of odium, a bit of like, you're the second choice, you're the second runner. And I don't think it deserves to be considered that way. I agree with Mark. I think you handle these watches you have these watches in the hand, and they're amazing.
One of my colleagues is he's a very quiet watch enthusiast, so he knows to spy on my wrist just to see if anything interesting shows up. But on Monday he came in and said, "I just bought this, and it's not really something I would normally go for." And it was a Glasuta original Panamatic Lunar Big Date, which again is, as you say, has the
That's the one. Yeah.
has the sort of the large off-center hour and minute, a small second, a moon phase, and then a big date. And you know, he's a Breitling guy. He's got 2 or 3 other Breitlings. And then he goes, "I just saw this and I had to have it." And I kind of agree. That was a stunning watch. I don't think I'd have pulled the trigger with my credit card had I seen it, but certainly seeing them in real life, they are stunning. And sorry, using an overused adjective there. No, there should be a fine for saying stunning.
Oh no, I say enough in my reviews. I am most familiar with this watch because our VP of sales has just basically swapped sort of money for money his Milgauss for this with the dual date, and it looks awesome in person. It's got that nice heft to it. He actually had it on the on this fabric, on this canvas strap, the synthetic strap. And I was like, when I saw photos of it, I was like, oh, I'm not really convinced. And I asked him, I said, oh, what? I said, oh, the good thing is you could swap the strap out on this. And he's like, no, I absolutely love this because it has that quick release mechanism, I think, as well, Steve, that you were talking about. But it's a really nice watch in person. The domed sapphire crystal on it really captures the light. It's just that nice bit of heft to it. And the offsetting of the date doesn't look it looks more severe there than it does in person because the date wheels are color matched to the dial. I've been really like it, really impressed with it, holding it, and then the bezel action and everything on it's spot on. Awesome. Okay, so next up, Pete, this is one of yours, and let me just type in the link here. There we go. Here we go. We are. Oh, Mr. Roboto.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a fun one.
Yeah, so I've made no secret of the fact I like travel watches. I kind of look for travel watches. And what I have found is if I look down into my travel watch collection watch box, it's like it's really hard to find why would I buy another watch, because everything is really just a variation of something I've already got, and I don't like buying a variation of something I've already got. So I've started searching for weird and wacky, like travel watch not just weird and wacky, but like sort of just more different, more out there. And as soon as I saw this watch, I thought I've got to own one of these. If I had unlimited funds, they did a bronze limited edition a couple of years ago, where each one was engraved individually with like different motifs on it. But they trade for like 15,000 Australian, so that's not going to happen. So I think one of these. I actually know someone, Armin from Armin Watch Reviews has got one, and he reports that it's surprisingly wearable. It's very comfortable on the wrist.
Yeah, I know somebody's earned one.
And so, one of these is probably not far away.
Yeah, so Andy Batch, who I think is going to start his own YouTube channel, he used to collab a lot on TNT because he's even collabed on my channel. And we did a video on small watches because he's really into those sort of Art Deco type watches because apparently there's a big sort of smaller watch collection scene. He lives in Madrid in Spain. But his one big watch is this. He's got this, or he had this Mr. Roboto. He had it for quite a while. I think he's moved it on recently. But again, he loved it. So there's some interesting photos of this watch of his version on that video that I did. But yeah, again, he just loved the quirkiness of it. So he's got he has like smaller watches, but then he has like bigger watches like this. And he also had a Crepes as well that he was wearing. So Yeah, I'd be interested to see one of these in person. They do look really cool, and Andy said that they were like how you heard that they were very wearable in size.
Yeah, so that's my next one.
Pete, I've got a question for you. What do you think of the Konstantin Chaikin? Do you like those? Since you
I
like
do. No, I do like the Konstantin Chaikin. It's unfortunately they're horrendously expensive now. Even like those, like the Vampire Watch and all those sorts of things, or the Joker Watch, that was originally his like less expensive, I won't say cheap, but his less expensive entree into the brand.
Mm-hmm.
They're now like 30 grand. So I do love it. I just can't afford it. It's, you sort of, there comes a time when you just go, it's not about value. I just don't have that money.
Yeah,
So
well, this is like an
it's not
affordable
relevant to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really and the beauty is, I would never look at this and go, oh, they got inspiration from it's not like a copy of the Chaikin. This watch has been around for like 6 or 7 years. It's up to its second or third iteration. So it's not a budget version. It's just a watch that's in the same class.
Yeah. That was an awesome pick. So next up, I think it's back round to me, isn't it? This is a weird one. I'm obsessed with these like really expensive square G-Shocks, and I don't know why. I think it's the price. Yeah, because they're supposed to be made of all sorts of different materials or different titanium mixtures and things like that. The actual bezel piece, it shows it's sort of broken apart. The actual bezel piece is supposed to be all virtually unscratchable. Cobalt chrome alloy, 4 times harder than pure titanium. There's just something about it that I think it's the price. I'm like drawn to how good is, and it's one of the few G-Shocks that actually has sapphire crystal on it, believe it or not. They all have that mineral crystal. Even the ones that are multiple thousands are still mineral crystal, but this has sapphire crystal on it. There's just something intoxicating about it. I think it's the price. I'm like, how good can it be for 3,400? Random Rob's reviewed one. I think a Blog to Watch has reviewed one as well. But it's one of the watches where even each of the individual dots here are all of a completely different piece that's been finished off. There's quite a lot of effort that's gone into it, and then they have the one that's sort of DLC coated here. That's $4,000, like $500 more. But why? I mean, it's got a DLC on it, but the module is the same, I believe. That's in the ones that are the 500 or 600. There's just something drawing me in about these really expensive G-Shocks.
Well, it's funny you did that interview recently, which it was excellent, by the way, Sam, the one with Mike France talking about pricing and everything. And you got to the end, and I think at the very end you said, sometimes you feel like price is almost a feature. Yeah. What you're looking at here is a practical, in real life example of how that works.
Yeah.
I suspect if this was only $100 more than a normal resin one, you would probably have just moved on.
I think you're right. You're 100% right, because it has an air of mystique to it, doesn't it? It's like, how good can this is at least 4 times more. Well, yeah, and they have a metal one that's like $750, I think, that you can buy online. So this is sort of 3 or 4 times that price. And yeah, how good is it?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is twice the price of that 12 you've got.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, this isn't even the titanium. This isn't even the titanium. This is the same deal. Yeah, the mechanical watch that you could get for $4,000 would be, that it's more than that Mont Blanc for sure. Yeah. But there's just something intoxicating. It's the mystery of like, how good can it be for 4,000? Because I'll never see one. I don't think you'd ever see. I doubt they have them in the stores, but they regularly sell out. And then they have that other, not the square one, but the other one that's $8,000, where a guy who makes samurai swords has made the case, and that's what I like about G-Shock is the cheekiness of it. They've released one actually, which this one I'm not sure whether they'll sell many. I'm sure they will sell some of them, but they've released a new Frogman where the case is entirely titanium. I'm not going to find it now, am I? But they have a titanium Frogman that and that's $5,000. But that to me seems I don't understand. That to me seems expensive. Here it is. I don't understand why this is $5,000. Basically, it's a the titanium Frogman, but
I can only imagine. There's people that collect G-Shocks.
Yes,
and if as soon as there's people that collect you, there will be rich people that collect you. And there will be that guy that says titanium, I haven't got a Frogman. I'd love to add a Frogman. Hey, look, there's a titanium one. I'll be the only one that's ever got a titanium Frogman. That's the watch for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they probably make them in tiny numbers.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, we're back round to the start. Mark, we had all of yours, but did you think of another one while we were going round? I
just put one in the private chat.
Oh yeah,
I put two in the private chat, but if you go for the Sakura watch.
Yes. Here we go. Oh yeah, I've got this. See, this is actually favorited. It'll show somewhere that I've got this bookmarked in my thing. I'm fascinated by it.
I've got a request in to let me know when they get one.
Yeah.
And I think I might have talked about this before. I do like a Citizen watch. I've got a couple of Eco drives on my desk right now. I think Citizen are a very, very good watch brand. The watches, I think, are well designed. They are very, very good at titanium. Yeah. Eco drive is a much better idea than spring drive. I just want to see who I can trigger. But this one is as it says in the description, it's an indigo dyed paper dial with a solar collector underneath it. Perpetual calendar, 100-meter water resistance, I think. I want one. I really, really want one.
I'm obsessed with it as well.
Yep.
40 millimeters, just the perfect size. I'd love to see one in person. We actually got a super chat midway through, so thank you so much. It's actually a question for Pete. It says, Pete, did you know a new Aerospace Evo is coming out? AD told me so.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. That's that whole. I've heard the same. So I'm sitting there going, I'd love to pull the trigger on the existing one, but what if I blow my money and the new one comes out and it's even better? So, damn you, make a choice,
Yeah, so sorry, Mark, but thank you very much for the super chat there. Very, very much appreciated. But yeah, Mark, this is a great pick.
Actually,
I've got this.
I've just noticed something on this advert. You were talking about not hitting the buy now button.
Oh yeah.
This is now in stock.
Oh, is it?
I've just noticed this is now in stock.
We'll quickly.
Oh no, it says send request, but it's not saying out of stock. Let me go back. Yeah. Otherwise, oh no, thankfully it's pre-order. Be still my beating heart. That was very nearly an expensive stream, guys.
Well, I told you this is going to be dangerous. Okay, then Steve, your last one here is the Zin.
So cool.
Yeah.
Their
website is awful. Their website is they made it once in the 90s, and then forever they are stuck with the same website. Anyway,
the website's made from submarine steel. It's too hard to change.
Could that all the different what do they call them, frames?
Yeah, and then they got the code and tegimented it so it can't be updated.
Like the one guy who made it left years ago.
That's right.
Sorry, Steve.
No, it's totally appropriate because of the terrible website. But yeah, I really dig the U50. It's the smaller version of the U1, and it's got these really polarizing looks, and especially with these, like, I've heard them described as Minecraft hands. Some people love them and some people hate them. I think at first I really hated the way it looks, but now I love it because it doesn't look like anything else on the market. It's a dive watch, but at the same time, the hands are so unusual looking. There's no other dive watch that's got hands like that. And I especially like there's like a black bezel. I think it's the one that's leaning down, the kind of the black bezel with the satin case. I've seen one from a member of our Red Bar, and gosh, I just think they look really neat. And all of Zin's watches are super over engineered. So the rare time when I go 7 meters down, I know it's going to work flawlessly. So yeah, I think they're really cool, and they are a little bit pricey for what they are. I think they're kind of hovering around the $3,000 range, but I think they're a great brand, and I especially just really like this model because again, it's kind of an enthusiast purchase that not everyone's going to own, and it's got kind of polarizing looks, and I think it looks neat.
Yeah, I think Patrick Pocket Watch Time might have. I think he might have one of these. And the good thing as well is if you decided to go 10 meters, you could go with one of their oil-filled ones as well. Make sure.
That's true.
Make sure there was no distortion at depth. But
Right.
the only bad thing with Zin is that here in the US they're only sold through watch buys, aren't they? New, so you can't get like a cheeky deal on. You can't get like a deal on one new.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a huge watch buys fan. I dislike the fact that they have a total monopoly on the US market, but yeah, so you can buy one from them, or you can buy one off Chrono 24 which I've done before from a European seller. The kind of the negative with that is that you don't get the US warranty with it. So if something goes wrong, you have to ship it back to Europe. But how often does that happen? So I'm willing to take that chance.
Yeah. And they're serviced by RGM, aren't they? I think
Yeah,
they're serviced
that's
by,
right.
So the guy who does the amazing Guilloche dials.
A friend of mine is actually one of the Australian distributors, one of only two for Zin. And yeah, he was saying, that model of having, very limited distribution is something that Zin does pretty much everywhere, except in like Germany because it's their home territory. Mm-hmm. And they tend to what he was saying is all of the German brands tend to do the same thing. So if you go to watch buys and you look at their other brands like Mueller Glasuta and Tutima, and then you go to say Define, that's the seller in Australia, same brands turning up at the same ADs and the same distributors pretty much all the way around the world. They fly as a little German flock.
Yeah, because I've been to a watch buys event where they travel the country and they'll rent out a hotel suite or like a function room in a hotel, and then you get invited up and they have every single model of Zin, and then you can sort of go and handle them and take a look at them. But it seems like a weird distribution model because anyway, I mean it's obviously working for them, isn't it? But maybe they can only make X number a year, so. And
it's also tied to their numbers. They my guy Fabio was saying that they pretty much sell out every watch they've got. Even talking directly to my mate who's a distributor, I can get maybe a 2 or 3% discount, which is really just a discount to say, yeah, we gave you a discount. That's all.
I used to work for an Apple reseller, and it was the same. The margins were super razor thin. Awesome. Yeah, that was another great pick. So Pete, your last one is, did I pick the right one? This one.
Yep.
Awesome.
So I'm a Breitling guy. I like to mix it up between sort of old and new Breitling. So I started this with a very, very new, very current Breitling. I do also have started collecting some older stuff, but so far I've been a little bit fearful about collecting older chronographs. So the older chronographs I've all got so far are manual wind, but now I'm thinking it's time to it's time to take a risk and buy a caliber 11 auto chronograph from 1969. One of the first ones. One of the ones that Federico says absolutely never buy because it's a terrible movement and you're always trying to get it repaired. And in a strange way, that kind of confirms it for me. I want, watch collecting is like bullfighting. It's about occasionally taking a bit of a risk. And this is the risk I think I want to take.
Yeah. Those crazy offset chrono dials.
Exactly. It's just crazy in every way, shape, and form. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and I've reviewed a Hoya Ortavia that has this same, I think the caliber 12 in it, which was the Evolution. Because they worked on it together, didn't they? Hoya and Breitling and Hamilton Buren and Dubuis de Praz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a micro rotor, but the micro rotor is like buried inside the movement, so you can't see it. So it's a really weird watch. It's the movement is clearly the result of 4 different people that didn't like each other very much. But I just love this.
Pete, can you find someone to work on it? That's the most important question.
I hope so. I may end up, regretting this altogether, or I may end up saying, "Hey, this is why you have a large collection."
Yeah,
it's never going anywhere near a time grapher.
Yes. Yeah.
It's no. It'll be as long as if I set it in the morning and I'm not running late for meetings in the afternoon, that is fine.
Awesome. Well, my last pick to round us out here is something that I've only just started obsessing about recently. And to be fair, I didn't even know that they still made this watch. I thought it was like a vintage one, but this is the updated ugly Citizen Aqualand with the depth gauge on it. The original was like these versions, and I thought that they don't make them anymore, but they still make them. I'm amazed by this, and I found out. So I was sort of researching the black dial one, and then came across this blue dial one, and it's so ugly. I kind of really like the way it looks. So, and I thought for $385 for a quartz Citizen. I don't know, Mark, did you ever own one of these back in the day? Because there is an old design, I think, from maybe the 90s.
I'm struggling as to find something wrong with something that ugly. That is perfectly ugly. It is. That is pro-plof ugly stylish.
It is, and if somebody told you that was a cigarette lighter on the side, you would totally believe it, wouldn't you? Like an piezoelectric.
It's either that or a pencil sharpener.
Yes,
it's an electric. But it's if you wanted to set out something and make it deliberately ugly, that is what you would do, because you couldn't help but make it kind of stylish whilst trying to ruin it, and that's what they've done. It's perfect.
Typical of so much Citizen.
Yeah,
Citizen don't have, they spend a lot of money somewhere, but not in their art department.
Yeah, this is the updated version of it, and it's not got prettier over the years.
That looks so much like an Omega.
Oh, that's dangerously close to an Omega.
That's dangerously close to an Omega. In fact, you'd probably have to buy it because it's so close to an Omega. Yeah. You'll have to send me the link to that one, Sam.
Oh, this one. Yeah. Well, actually, Sakura watches, I think, have got them. So you can, when you buy it, if you need to bulk out that basket so you can get the free shipping with your $2,600.
In the ProMaster range, I'll go have to take a look, because that Omega lookalike, I could see myself walking into an Omega AD and just really pissing them off.
Yeah, so I don't know whether I might pick up one of these quirky ones. Yeah, so there you go, guys. That was really cool. That was a fun one, fun impromptu one. Thank you everyone for. I know we kind of only listed us as going live a couple of hours ago, so appreciate everyone, and I'll update the thumbnail. So yeah, any last words, anyone? Appreciate you all joining.
Nope, we're good.
Sam, I think you should totally buy that G-Shock.
Oh, the $4,000 G-Shock.
Yeah.
Because you know who would know? There's only like people that would really. It's just proper stealth wealth, that isn't it? Because it's.
I think you need to buy it and wear it the next time you interview Mike France.
Oh yeah. When it's like, oh, have you used this carbonized titanium?
And say, you know, like, I noticed you've stopped sending me watches to review anymore. So you know what? I went and bought a $4,000 G-Shock.
Out of spite.
Oh no. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. A big thanks to the panel, and we'll see you on Sunday for the Sunday Social. All right, thanks everyone.
Have a good one.
Bye.